Welcome to Seeking Balance with Kat. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Heather McCarter and the McCarter Health Center. Here's Kat.
Hey, thank you, James. Well, hello. Hi, Heather.
How are you, Kat? Thanks for having me.
I'm amazing. And I'm so happy that you were here. You were my first choice for all things health and wellness.
Well, I really appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here.
So my goal for this series is to help people feel comfortable with health and wellness practices that are offered in the Mid-Ohio Valley. And I think that there's this, you can do all the marketing you want and all the print ads, and until you get that word of mouth or a friend referral or a moment of desperation, we don't have that push to like, okay, I need to figure this out. So anytime we can just drop information in people's news feeds or just get a chance to recognize your face or feel comfortable with the way that you explain something. A lot of times after a session, when I work with somebody, I try to really make sure that I thank them for trusting me with their bodies. And that's such a huge thing when you get into that point. And if you haven't hit rock bottom physically and needed somebody to help you, you don't even necessarily understand what that feels like. But so I feel like, as I was saying before we went live, you and I have been doing this for a minute, as we're in our 40s, and we've been probably doing this longer. I've been doing this health and wellness thing longer than I've done anything else, right? So you reach that point, and so I trust you. I trust you with my body, and I know a lot of people do, but I feel like you're such a wealth in this area that people don't know about. And as it's good to get that information now, so that when life hits you or a family member, you can have that like, oh, I remember that podcast. I remember hearing that one. There's that one doctor that I know could help me have a different view on this than just the standard medical answer.
Yeah, I love the grass. That's my whole life is grassrooting. So I graduated 23 years ago from Palmer College of Chiropractic. And after 2 years, I realized, wow, they told me I could help everybody. I can't. So that revelation blossomed my multidisciplinary approach to alternative healthcare, informing one of the first expansive alternative multidisciplinary clinics in the state. And that included what is an alternative focus on that. We know the medical monstrosities where you can go to your specialist and to your general practitioner and to physical therapy. So I created the model of just chiropractic. And when patients weren't stabilizing per se, did they need deep tissue massage to work out the adhesions so the joint alignment would hold? Or do they need physical therapy to strengthen it? Do they need cold laser to heal it? Do they need nutrition to feed it? And that blossomed into this diverse approach. And then if none of those help, or if it's not necessary to refer to any of those modalities, then bridging the person. So yes, grassrooting and really working with every patient individually is something we pride ourselves in. Never using a cookie cutter model, because the human body is uniquely diverse. And the cultural diversity of people and the spectrum of every condition is just such a fun challenge to really focus on each patient and who do we, what's going to best help them.
Mm-hmm. And you treat all ages?
All ages. Mm-hmm. I had done 4-month-old twins as new patients last week, and a 92-year-old. The spectrum is always all over the place.
Awesome. And that people trust you and all of those, from the 4-month-old to.
Yeah. It's been a great journey that way. And I really value how I cross T's and dot I's. So I really do a full spectrum study of patients.
So the other day I was just going down Facebook, and in our friend group, you are the non-Facebooking Heather, right?
Yes.
So you have this spectacular team in your office, and you're able to get information out in your Facebook lives. And when they come through, and I try to watch for a little bit, and every time that you explain something, I hang on every word and just go, oh, wait, okay, Yeah. Okay. Like, so even if I don't retain it, I know that I can go back to it or then ask you to,
thanks.
Like, what was that again? So what is something like right now, that you feel like is the biggest need in your client base or that you're really working to do in the next step for the development of your center?
The biggest focus is in functional nutrition. But the last 5 years has been an amazing journey of balancing not only sugar, autoimmunities, allergens, such as anything from food, predominantly food allergies, adrenal and fatigue and thyroid. But my newest ventures over the last couple of years is really focusing on toxicity within the body and also inflammation. And anything that I do, I go to extra schooling and learn in depth before and practice it on myself and my staff and my family before I ever present it to the human public. So, we've had a great 4.5-5 year journey of probably 50 hours of schooling in CBD, so I can be the physician and not a glorified gas station, and really help people not only around their med management with CBD, but also for inflammation, to reduce inflammation from a different perspective or from a different avenue than just the normal nutraceuticals or with chiropractic or PT or massage or laser. So that's been an amazing asset. People are like, oh, well, CBD was a fad. Well, it's not a fad. It's a long-term journey for me because it's such a wonderful asset for the patient's healing process. But within the last year, to take it even further, is I'm mesmerized by the biochemical process of detoxification. And in my 16 years of doing nutrition, I've been a chiropractor for 23. I've done nutrition for 16. I can do a hair mineral analysis. I could do a saliva hormone test. I can do all of these blood work. I can analyze it, put it all together. But how am I going to get it out of you? So I'm a very integratable practitioner, and I'm a very honest and real person. So you get all of that from me, and it provides a lot of trust from my patient base, which is, I think, a really good rooted thing that I have going. But I can say I got the lead out completely, or the arsenic, or the myco mold toxins, or the C8, or the Roundup, and then I discovered carbon atom detoxification. And in April of last year, I did my first 30 hours of training, and then practiced on myself from January until that April, and then in May I started on the humans, as I say, after I had about 4 months under my belt. And then I did another 30 hours in August, have another 30 hours coming up in August. But I do training and webinars monthly as well to continue the process of learning about the art of carbon atom detox.
So I actually didn't know that you did all that. So that's fun. I'm just like,
always got something going.
I know. I was like,
and all that spare time.
I know, right? I was like, no wonder she doesn't text me back. No,
it's a little. Like, some days I'm like shrapnel.
Yeah. So if somebody was interested in that, they would just call for not chiropractic, but nutritional, or
they call for nutritional consultations,
okay.
And they get the paperwork sent to them. It's usually the first appointment's an hour, but carbon detox in the form of Shilajit or humic and fulvic acids, or there's always buzzwords. CBD was the buzzword for years, and people are like, oh, you're just doing the buzz. No, I go in depth. I go past the buzz. We go deep into it. And then, where does that fit into a long-term paradigm? I'm not into fads, So, and I'm also not into doing something that doesn't have rooted, it's just, things like CBD and carbon atom detox are as big to me as when the nervous system was discovered to be, that chiropractic can affect something as big as the nervous system to change your health. That's how big CBD is with the endocannabinoid system. And that's how big carbon is to detox. So what chiropractic is to wellness, carbon is to detoxification. And so the fads are, they utilize what's called dead carbon or carbon ash, which is what we know as charcoal or clay. And that'll stay in the gut, and it'll absorb toxins, and it'll absorb impurities. And that's great. But it binds ionically because it's dead, which means it binds with a single bond. And therefore, it can be lost in translation through lymph or bowel and gets dropped back off, per se. Whereas Cellcore, which is the company that has the proprietary amazingness that I utilize is they have revolutionized what's called bioactive carbon. So the carbon beds that they pull from allow for the zeolite, for the caging of a heavy metal, but also a very organic beds of humic and fulvic acid tested by third-party companies, and really relevant, we call them COAs, certificates of analysis, that we analyze. And then what they do in their chemistry is they make the carbon alive. So they reactivate it, make it a bioactive, energetic, alive carbon, because we're made of carbon. So for the body carbon recognizes everything in the body, even if it's an organic form of a heavy metal, it won't take out, let's say, copper or zinc. It'll leave those and grab the lead right next to it, because carbon has an innate intelligence to it. So when you bioactive it, that means you manipulate the outer electron rings. It gives it energy, which can electrically ignite cell membranes of all 50 trillion cells, open up. So it leaves the gut because they nano shatter the carbon. They make it under 10 carbons short, and then they shatter it into 10 to the negative 9th nanoparticles. It goes through the entire body, electrically opens the cell membranes, pulls the carbon in, and whatever they attach to it in the supplement, they drop off whatever is attached. The carbon grabs the toxin, and since it's alive, it double bonds it. So it's a double bond. It's almost indestructible. You can't break it. So therefore, when it goes to the lymph and it goes to the liver and it goes to the kidney and out the bowel or urine, it has that molecule of C8, that molecule of Roundup, that mercury, that lead, that lactic acid metabolic backup, that, any metabolic acidosis, anything. And it pulls it out. And then healing. So toxins are the basis of all underlying disease and chronic inflammatory processes. So you remove the toxin, you heal the body. I mean, it's revolutionized how I do nutrition, because I'm not supporting 8 organ systems, which is almost like bank robbery for the people having to do supplementation of that.
Right.
And it's like you remove the toxins. What are you left with? What are you left with that's genetic? You pushed too far, now you need to support. Or what are we just left with? And it's been an amazing year journey. So I've probably had about 60 patients that I've worked in depth with, and that's everything from glyphosate Roundup poisoning to severe mold growing on outsides of bodies that's completely eradicated. And mold mycotoxins, it's almost impossible. Prior to now, I could not pull mold out of you efficiently.
Wow.
And I'm pulling it out, and it'll be growing on the outside in plaques on people's bodies, and it's just gone. Or gallbladders backed up, no gallbladders, and all the bile backed up. If you don't have bile flow, bile kills toxins. And then viruses live off toxins. And the bacteria live off the debris from toxins and viruses. So the whole chain of events you reverse, because you're also reducing that inflammatory cascade, that cytokine storm we keep hearing about with like COVID-related deaths, or chronic inflammation from autoimmunities, or glycinating our every cell with abundance of sugar.
Right.
So, we've reduced that inflammation, and therefore you reduce the expression of disease. It's a whole new ball game.
It's amazing. I recently, as a parent, right? So school and stomach flu and all of the things going through and the house and the kids. And I was saying to some of my students maybe a couple of days ago, because in traditional Chinese medicine, the gut's called the second brain, right?
Oh, it is.
So there's that idea of grain brain or whatever. Like if you're not functioning in the gut, it starts to fog the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I literally use that as my excuse all week for not getting the things that I need to. It's just
it's such a huge imbalance.
I'd be like, I'm so like, I didn't get sick, but I was, obviously my body was fighting off whatever, the kids had. And I felt a huge, because as you're saying this, and I'm like, as all this releases off of somebody, I would feel like they would just suddenly feel like they could take on the world, right? When their body's no longer fighting toxins, then what's the result? Do they now, feel lighter, can think clearer? Like what's all of these positive results? And then I'm like, I seriously use that as my excuse for the last week because
it's very true. You know, the gut produces dopamine, serotonin, and GABA, 90% of it. So, you know, and then that follows the cholesterol train to the brain. I'm in the middle now, you know, what with the carbon atom there, it's also a co-care with parasitic cleansing and removing the biofilm from the gut. And in the biofilm is where the food allergens live. It's where the eggs of the parasites live. It's where all the leaky gut stems from, you know, with that opening up the gap junctions within the between the cells. So when they say it's the first brain, it's because all of our neurotransmitters that really control our emotional feel and how we really navigate the world, they start in the gut. So you can only imagine we're all so crazy because so many people are, and, you know, I don't say crazy in a way that's judging. It's just, you know, we're all trying to seek balance, as we say. And a lot of that discord is gut health.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, what do you mean? Well, because you're so inflamed there, you're not producing. And parasites manipulate serotonin, dopamine, and GABA all the time to stop them from being pretty much pooped out.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start playing with that too, it opens up a whole new ball game. You know, I always say the reversal process isn't the easiest, you know, because you re-express
mm-hmm.
a lot of what got you there in the first place.
Right.
You know, the unraveling process sometimes is just as hard, whether that's losing 100 pounds or purging parasites or detoxifying the liver, you know, but you've got to heal the gut and you have to detoxify the liver. If you want to, you have to have a filter and you've got to have, be able to you have to dump the liver in the bowel.
So then, and like I said, I feel like the follow-up would be like the result. The result is
clarity, improved focus, less inflammation. You would notice that as less achy joints, a clear focus, less brain fog, more emotional stability, better hormonal regulation, because the liver does everything. It cleaves the hormones. It pulls out the toxins. So everything that the gut is re-leaking back into the system has to go back through phase 1 and phase 2, phase 3 detox through the liver, all those factory lines. And if they're gummed up with all of our fatty liver, backed up cholesterol and bile and gallstones, that's what makes gallstones, then you just, you know, you can't filter through that.
Right.
I mean, it has to look like what my vacuum looks like after cleaning up this drywall dust in my PT renovation for the last year. You know, I look at that filter and I'm like, oh, that's what people's liver looks like, you know, mixed with a bunch of fat.
So is this something that's not offered in this area? Are you?
There's nobody else in West Virginia except in Shepherdstown that does cell-core.
Okay.
I don't know a lot of physicians that have my approach. I think I'm the only physician that is educated in CBD in the Middle Ohio Valley, really on a level, so much so that we got second place just as a chiropractic CBD distributor out of all of the vape shops. And the only way that I can really say that we got second place is based upon not only my knowledge base, but my staff. You know, Ashley Nutter has done an amazing job in overseeing the CBD growth and helping me narrow down the product lines. Jacob Collins also, those are my two front runners. But also my massage therapist is extremely educated in nutrition. Has spent 15 years in that journey herself. And so I take them all with me, trying to figure out how to take them even for cell-core now at this point. You know, I really like to establish something and then jump in it with them.
Right.
Empower them.
Well, and I think that's where, I mean, I have found one, I would trust you anyway, but specifically because we're friends, but specifically when I have been like, oh, what is this CBD? And I'm like, okay, well, I at least know, I mean, this was years ago, right? But at least like seeing that you were doing the research and going to.
I mean, I think that's the least amount of respect you can have to, as a physician, is to obviously know the biochemistry behind it. So therefore, I mean, if you know how it works, then you can troubleshoot, you know, and the endocannabinoid system wasn't even discovered until 1998 or named. So that being said, you know, I mean, now I could geek out and get a whole master's in the cannabinoid science, you know, because they've realized that the endocannabinoid system is really that endorphin feel-good system and that it's more intertwined with that. So, gosh, to manipulate it to manipulate it, through the advancements of the diversification of THCs and CBDs without the stigma of a high. It's profound in the future because these are all working with the body to heal the body. It's not just a pharmaceutical shut off, turn down, turn up type of scenario. It's a fueling, healing, progressive. When CBD can neuroplasticize and neuroregenerate the brain tissue to, if we start now, you're not going to get Alzheimer's. It's going to prevent glycination from sugar or your dementia genetics and allow the brain to heal. That's profound. That's not just suppression. It is a healing facet. So everything we do is working with the body to heal the body. And if it's something that is as profound as, like I said, chiropractic, I mean, that is CBD, that is carbon. These are ways that I can really work with you and heal you to a cellular level, an energetic level, an emotional level. And when you look to the whole person like that, then the results are extremely profound.
Well, I feel like that where my approach of saying, where do people find you? Why do they end up at your doorstep? And it's like, because now they can't walk and they need a chiropractor. Why do we go? Right? Like, do we wait too long? Do we wait too long to make the change?
Same thing with nutrition.
Right. But for me, if I say, okay, well, I'm at this point where I don't want to have to sleep more than 6 hours a day because I love my life and I want to wake up every morning and go, I get to do this. I get to live this life and I get to go super fast through life doing all of these amazing things, not because I'm chasing something, but because I feel that good that I can be the best version of myself as a mom, as a partner, as a sister, as a daughter, as a coworker. And so if you change that attitude of like, I'm doing this because I want to enjoy every moment of this amazing life, not I'm just trudging through until tragedy hits me. And then I start to seek balance and then I start to seek the help. So I feel like my mission, as someone who, people trust me with their bodies is like, okay, well, cool. That's how you found me in the first place. I get it. Like, you're struggling, but let's like keep you on this journey because.
Right. And then you find where the person can actually fit that into their paradigm. As I said before we started, perception's everything. And it's something I work on myself. That's where that even came from, is I want to wake up and be like, wow, I am so full and I have all these opportunities. How can I not feel overwhelmed? And how can I go, oh my God, I just love this. I can't wait to get up at 5 and just go do it until 9 p.m. and be like, yeah, I had so much
get to do this today.
Yes. I love it. So, it really is a blessing to have so many passions. And that's, some people battle that they don't know what their passion is. So, I want to be grateful for that. It's humbling. But why do people come to me? Do they come always at the last minute? Most. But as I continue to grow, I build the wellness paradigm, and longevity provides you with those patients that get it. And when people talk about retirement, my retirement days will be with all the patients that get it. You know what I mean? Right. Like that's the dream of, and using everything in my toolbox and having these really in-depth appointments that I can use all of it instead of 6 hours a day of 30, 40 chiro patients, and then Wednesday nutrition days and nights and research and, and expanding the business and PT to sports physical therapy, so but people, if we go back to just nutrition, if most people come to me, the fat 40 female, you're just all in your head, or okay, now you're in your mid 40s, your 50s, and you haven't ever flushed your filter and your gut's so plugged up that you don't know why anything's falling apart.
And at that point, no amount of getting a gym membership and suddenly taking a protein supplement is going to change.
No, because you really just got to cleanse out that. And then that'll change that. But educating people on and being real with, when I say individualized approach, there's no cookie cutter. And that. I mean, that as a healthcare provider and working with fitness your whole life. And even for yourself in areas of, when when we're physically under par, working with each person individually, though, provides the best outcome. So when people come to me and they'll say, some people come and be like, you know what, I just want to feel better. Then we start slow. I look at their supplements. I switch them to a whole food supplement. We look at their diet and start making micro changes. I'm a good moderation girl. I try, we all seek moderation. So even, doing an 80-20 rule with some people, starting to reverse. I don't think cold turkey is from virtually anybody. So we have to look at those and I always like to start small. If you put somebody on 8 different changes at once, you don't know if it was the diet, if it was the supplement, if it was the cleanse. So I always do a slow roll because one, it allows them to see what the changes are incrementally, but it also helps with budgeting, also helps with overwhelmment. But everybody comes for different reasons. It's not always like at the end of the rope.
I did write down. So insurance, you guys bill insurance for chiropractic?
We only bill insurance for chiropractic, physical therapy. Both. We do not bill insurance for massage therapy or cold laser therapy or nutritional counseling, or obviously within my store, which we call the cupboard, which is within my facility. So that's also just because they're not reimbursed at a good level. And in this day and age, the deductibles are so high that you almost pay more than our cash price. Right. So we're very transparent about that too. If you call the office, then we just lay it out for you. There's no gimmicks. There's no weird financial plans. There's no secrets or agendas.
Right. I think that's where, James behind the scene, we often have that conversation of when we say, what is the cost versus, would it matter if you had insurance or not? Because that's always the
I would never get insurance.
People.
I would never, if I was a practitioner starting today, even the chiropractors in the local area that I've coached and mentored to open, I tell them all the secrets. Don't do this and try this and do this because, they don't teach you business. The business is the part that you wake up and say, I really want to love this. I really am just a healer. I really love being a healer, but wow, I've got to manage, the other 40% of my day is running an eight employee multidisciplinary facility. Right. And that's something that they don't train you in, but it has been a gift to learn it. There's always silver linings. It's prideful to learn taxes and QuickBooks and payroll and all that fun stuff and manage 8 employees' emotional responses to any given situation.
There's that. Yeah. But I think the idea, like I even said my last year and a half, I'm like, I just want to be the crazy lady up on the hill and everybody knows they can come up there and I might be talking to my plants and I might, give you some salve and we might meditate and we might,
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You have so many tools, Kat. You're very similar, in your own wellness paradigm and your own path, which is parallel to mine and all the modalities I don't do. It's the yoga, it's the silks, it's the diet, it's the inner emotional journey. I mean, you've done so many diversified health objectives in this area that people do think of you that way as well.
I've often said when I worked with doctors and therapists and said, I don't need to go and get the same education that you got, we just can work together.
There is a parallel for that. It's just like, I can do the cool things that I can do with CBD and I can get maybe even more masters. I daydream of the time to do a master's in cannabinoid science, that's so freaking cool. Or, I wish I had 40 more hours a week to do this cell core detox, but I squeak in like 3 to 5 and I just itch for it. But I do geek out like that. I really love being the best that I can be at virtually anything that I try to be at. I don't know if it's a feisty, fiery Aries in me or I just really...
That might be. And happy birthday month, by the way.
Oh, I know. It's Aries season, as we say it.
I know. It's Aries season, right? We can go there too.
I love April.
And I love July. I
just love birthdays. I love that you love yours too.
Of course we celebrate all
I'm approaching 50. I'm hitting the 49, so it's really exciting to me.
Absolutely.
It's crazy to look back and say, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I've practiced for 23 years. I mean, that makes me feel older than saying 49. You never look, I think one of the best things for sanity too, is to be proud of your path. And, my biggest focus now is how do I not worry so much? Why am I worrying so much? Why do I wake up worrying? Why do I go to sleep worrying? When you look back on 23 years, I've always worked out and it's been an incredible journey. And if you think you're in the middle, if you're fortunate, and to look forward, it's like, God, if I just didn't worry, how huge could this be? Like, how many people could I really help, and how expansive could I make this operation that will only better human outcomes?
So Deepak Chopra did a big thing when he turned 50. I'll see if I can find a little snippet to send you. It was really this wonderful, like, understanding.
There was video then? Oh, I'm teasing. Jeez.
But he says, like, when you're born, you got to learn the language, and you got to like learn how to walk. And then you have all of these things that your parents gave you, like your beliefs and your religion and your thoughts. Like, you have all those years to work it out. The day you turn 50, you get to decide all that stuff. So you can like see that as a rebirth. Like, you have a whole year to like,
oh, that's awesome. That's a great perspective.
Get prepared to that. Like, okay.
I'm going to own it. I like it. I've never really had a problem with any age. I mean, there's weird things that happen at this age. You're like, wow, that's what they meant when they said you should have put moisturizer on your neck at 16. Okay, well, I didn't. I didn't, Mom.
There's no vanity here.
No, it's all fun.
So your office right now. So tell me you guys do physical therapy, sports medicine, and you're expanding that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that's what you said was under construction right now.
Oh, yeah.
So if somebody says the sports medicine side, you're saying like it could just be,
Well, Dr. Darren Marsh is my physical therapist, and we've been fortunate enough to be an amazing team together for 15 years. And that's a big gift to me. He is such an asset. He feels the same way. He's really as amazing with the adolescents and the younger sports generation as he is with the geriatric and over 65. Okay, so he's so passionate with each. We do have a very diversified, but his forte has been the geriatric population and injuries per se, and rehabilitation just in a general sense. But I had a huge meeting January 4th, a staff meeting, and we took the 7 hours that day. We closed down to I really wanted their viewpoint. Like, if you had your ideas in this expansion process of where we're going, what would you want? And that was Darren's dream. This has always been his dream. So we're helping to build that dream. And what does sports? So we've revamped the facility. It'll be a primary. He is really a baseball focus. He's writing. So Dr. Marsh, he's obviously a doctorate in PT, but he has an athletic ATC, an athletic trainer, master's in education, a certified strength and conditioning specialist. And he's writing a book on pitching, but his whole life has been baseball. So he's really focusing on the baseball community, any sports, because of his functional. So he does functional physical therapy. You've heard of functional medicine. So he works with the abilities to improve not only strength, but also your style and your overall stability. So if you work with abilities,
right,
then you're going to improve outcomes. So he has an amazing approach. So yeah, we'll be expanding into that, hitting, pitching, throwing techniques. He's working with most of the community within that. And then it'll be a training facility and a rehabilitation facility for that. So it'll be more preventative. It'll be a cash training preventative for children and for adolescents, and also a rehab facility for sports rehabilitation, but also preventative strengthening and development.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that'll be all in the office on Emerson.
Yes.
All in that facility.
Yes.
So because this is my podcast, but my son is doing sports medicine at the Career Center, and he's just Jet, the middle one.
Yeah.
He'll never listen to
What is the degree at the Career Center?
It's 2 years. It's their junior and senior year of high school, sports medicine, physical therapy. And it just makes me so.
So they come out of there as an assistant, like
I think so.
Yeah, an associate assistant, because they just ended. You'll have to give me more information on that, because we always have worked with Washington State Community College and received their physical therapy assistant students, and Darren was a mentor, so we were on their rotation, even with the bigger monopolies like First Settlement and Mountain River, that are all just physical therapy. But we were fortunate enough to be on there for 10 years. And that rotation was so inspiring to get the PTA students that really wanted to learn a smaller operation that wasn't corporate, that really focused on the individual person one at a time, that our facility has always provided. Darren has one person per half an hour to an hour because we choose to make it that way.
I love it. Yeah.
And so that ended. They no longer are doing the PTA program. So I would love to know more about the Career Centers program.
Yep, those are junior and seniors, and I mean, last year at the end of the school year, after the whole journey of COVID and everything, you know, I'm thankfully my kids are good students, and I've always had it has not been a struggle to keep them, you know, all A's. I have been blessed with that. I'm not Superwoman, right? Like they put a lot of effort in, but
and you're Superwoman.
Well, yeah, but he has just blown me away with that and his interest in that.
Once you find that niche and passion, you can do anything.
Well, and I think like that growing up around in the testament to growing up in the space of physical fitness and wellness, and knowing that sometimes you can, you know,
that's been their whole world.
Have a cheat day, but other days, you know, you got to get into the gym and work it out. So I love that that's going to be in your facility. Because
thank you. It's really exciting. I really love the way the universe carries you in life. You know, it's one of the biggest gifts is really analyzing that from a bird's eye view. And people are like, how do you know that this is the path that you're supposed to be on? I said, because it was just so huge. I trusted at this point. It's one of those things that in the release the worry philosophy is I can look back and know that when I received this
it came
sense,
with ease.
This intuition, this huge bomb that kind of segued me off my rails because I wasn't really planning it and rucka chucka, then it's to me, if I have to think, those are the slam dunks.
Right. So, if it happens with ease or it shows up on your doorstep, you go, well, hello. Okay, I guess we're doing this now. Okay.
Yeah. So
doing this.
We're in the phase of build it and it will come. I'm getting, you know, all the
and it's
interesting.
It's happening.
Yeah,
obviously it's already there. You already have.
There's never any one new venture. You know, we're always expanding chiropractically. We always swirl our paradigm of what's going to be best for the patient. And, you know, I work with all the area physicians. I personally request and bridge my patients. If it's not something that my facility can offer you, I will bridge them, whether it's to pain stimulators in Charleston or Columbus, whether it's surgical interventions, whether it's physical medicine or, you know, some sort of gastric referral, you know, I mean, everything, anything, MRIs, surgeries. I work with all the area doctors and, you know, it has provided me a level of respect within the community because I'm not a hoarder. You know, chiropractors get such a bad rap that, you just see them forever and you never do anything else. Mm-hmm. Well, when you realize that you can't help everybody, but the way you can help everybody is to bridge them and continue that line of hope, it really changes everything. So if you can continue to instill hope beyond you, that's the gift that I give.
And that says so much about you and the, you know, that it is about, if I can't do this, how can we find somebody who can help you get to that point? Because then
sleep at night.
You let go of your ego and go, okay.
It's not about me.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm very fortunate that the results are because of me or through me. I mean, I got flowers this week for something I didn't do, for what I referred to. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe the hope of this. Thank you. You know, and that's bigger to me almost sometimes than if it was me myself that really allowed for that physical transformation.
That's awesome. And that's why we love you.
Thanks.
So real quick, let's do a little plug for your little
Dancing with the Docs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So for 2 years, super duper Scotty Cooper and I have had the privilege of practicing to win that mirror ball on April 23rd. It's been rescheduled 5 times.
I know, it's like, what's the new
April
date?
23rd at People's Bank Theater. And beyond the mirror ball, you know, I'd love to win that mirror ball for Scotty, put it on his mantle and have a dance party in his living room. But we are so excited. We've raised already ourselves $3,000 for Ronald McDonald House charities, which goes directly, the full pot is split between Columbus and Parkersburg or Charleston, West Virginia's Ronald McDonald Houses to help parents and children have a calmer experience while in the midst of their scariest moments. And I never believed those boxes really went anywhere. Like I thought, you know, I'm kind of skeptical of that. And I just can't, you know, I definitely was a touche, Heather. This is the reality. It really does go there.
Yeah.
So it is wonderful. And I did experience this in 2014 when my dad had septic shock and had a 2% chance of living, was 3 months at OSU. And my mom lived in the bowels of the hospital because after 2 weeks of hotels, there was no other place for us to really, and she wasn't going to leave them. So she lived with these gypsy women in the bowels of the hospital, showered on the second floor, and I'd bring her clothes every 2 to 3 days for 3 months. It was surreal. So again, you know, that's when you really get awareness. You know, you don't think about certain things until you're humbled by the experience, and then and so I'm allowed to I'm able to pay it forward and
dance and have a good time at the same time.
I love dancing.
So
it's going to be it's going to be a riot. April 23rd, everybody. There's still tickets on the mezzanine and balcony levels. And they're very economical, supports a good cause. And Lori Hadler with McDonald's has done an amazing job over the last 5 years, raising over $200,000 in these 5 events. Well, in the first 4. So it's amazing. She's done a good job organizing it. Her and Brian Anderson, who's her right-hand man with this. So they do a great job.
That's awesome. I was going to say 22 years ago today, I had my first son and ended up in the Ronald McDonald House for 5 days. So
you know.
Yeah, I know. You're like, oh God, I lived through that. I forgot about that part. Okay, here we are. But boy, you're glad it's there when it's there. And when you don't live it, you don't realize.
It's such a buzz then. You probably just don't even realize like the gift. You're just like, oh heck yeah, you know, I don't have to worry about the money on top of the health worries. But you know, it's the more I've read about it, it's just really prideful what they do.
That's awesome. Well,
if I can interrupt real quick. We do have a couple comments online, a couple fans. We got Jackson Patterson says, Heather is such an amazing person with a great soul.
No, thanks, Jackson. I appreciate it.
Yep. Love Jackson too. He's been on here a couple times.
He does so much. I just love his path, and I love, I just love what he's done for the West Side, living there on as people call it, the Lower West Side. Lower Harmer. We own it. I love it.
You're representing today.
Well, I know, like I represent.
It's definitely in the flood stages, right? I guess it is the Lower West Side.
Well, whatever. I love it. It has. I love the diversity of people. You know, so it gives you the gift of that for sure. Yeah.
Another one, Scott Walker. Heather is awesome. I love her. So if you're single, maybe.
No, Kelly kicked my butt. But you know what? You know what's so funny is Scott, I actually had on his tie-dye all morning, and I was like, maybe I should represent Harvard since I'm doing Marietta. But Scott, I was wearing your tie-dye. I was actually going to have it on. That's so funny. Oh, he makes the most amazing tie-dyes. I don't know where you could need to find them. I'm sure Ashley can post it on my website, but Scott Walker and his wife, Kelly, have got the most amazing new tie-dye business. So there's a perk for you, Scott. I haven't seen somebody just flip out that kind of art. And it's like, why have you been sitting on that for your whole life? It's really incredible.
I need to know about this.
He's incredible.
Well, thank you, James.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, as we are amazing women in this crazy life, we have limited amounts of time, but we have tons to talk about. And I'm sure that.
Well, that's why we've had a journey for a long time, Kat. We get to play all the time with our brains together.
It's like we are the best kept secret, right? Like the Mid-Ohio Valley. Yeah. We're just but
it's slow and steady. You know, I mean, you focus just on what you can bring, and it just brings more. So, you know, that's what we all keep trying to do, is really focus on the positive to get more positive. Because if you're focused on negative, that's all you're going to get.
And for me, that not that I ever truly tried to not be authentic, but the more authentic I am, the better my work is. Yeah, and then everything. More people come to me and go, oh, wait, it's not perfect, and it's not always amazing, and it's not always lovely and wonderful, because we just think, I'm like, seriously, no, like, you know, like we all have to deal with those things.
People just want real, you know, admit, you know, when you're off, try to be your best in the present. Like that's being present with each person I'm with. It allows me to say, really, they're the biggest gift to me, because they can keep me away from my crazy brain for hours at a time. It's like,
thanks you.
Like it's almost meditating in itself to just be with other people, you know, working on them.
Hours pass by and you haven't been obsessing about something you can't control anyway.
It's such a great recalibration.
Right. So what I'm going to put some things in the gospel now.